What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Happy Friday, people. We are back again. Big weekend for Arsenal and for the Premier League. International break is finally over. No more watching paint dry Southgate style football, people. The Premier League is back. 5:30 kickoff tomorrow. Chelsea against Arsenal. I will be live from 4:30. Make sure you lock in. It's going to be epic. And hopefully the Gunners go 3-point collecting. Big up the whole community locked in. Appreciate your support as always. Blessed love community. See you, Nick. Big up yourselves, people. Inverted start time. You know how it is, Zinchenko. He's at left back, but he drifts central, you know, 2 p.m. But I'll arrive maybe around 3 or 4 minutes past, people. Work with me here, people. Big up Luke. Big up Jermaine. Hope you're all good. Nimbo said, where's the intro? I did play it. Hopefully it came up on most of you. LSU will be happy. No, I haven't got the LA hat on today. We're in the Fresh Ego one. I can't say it won't come back, but hey, big up my bro, man. Hope you're well, bro. Good, the Bad, the Ugly podcast. Make sure you go and follow that. Big Nottingham podcast, one of the best out there. Give me a shout, bro. Appreciate you tuning in as always, bro. Alvin said, I'm currently on my solo holiday in Rhodes, enjoying my time. Stay safe in Greece, bro. Hope you're well. Solo holiday, you know. I've never actually done a solo holiday. Has anybody actually gone abroad before by themselves? I mean, I've travelled with football, but it's not the same. I've gone abroad to meet up with people and then obviously train. But I've never actually gone on holiday by myself. But big up yourself, bro. Big up Big C. Let's go Arsenal. Big up Gunner Live. Bless up Jenna. Premier League is back, you done know. Hey, big up, bro. Big up my bro Maurice, man, locked in. And now I said, good to be back, Big C. Great show on DR Sport as well. Big up everyone who tuned in for that. And Tabifa said, spent 6 months in Thailand on a solo. Do you know what? I would have loved to have done that when I was younger. Because of football, I never really had the time to travel for a long period of time like that, man. So, yeah, I respect anyone who did it. Well, I see him, I'm back, Mr. Member Stream. Some of the people missed the Member Stream, man. Where was you? But we'll do another one. And Alexis said Big C should have KG on one day. It would be great. Definitely, man. I get on well with him. It was good fun with him on the DR Sports Show, man. He got cooked about Man United and the takeover that never happened. And Odion said, yo, Curtis, it's my birthday tomorrow. Big 29. No excuses at the bridge. Nah, my birthday. Hey, blessings to you, bro. Make sure you have a good birthday. And yeah, let's hope they don't ruin your day, man. Big C, you were killing me on DR Sports. What have you got against the steak bait? Well, they were talking about what you get from Greg's. And I was like, I just get a pizza slice. And people were upset that I don't get a steak bake. But hey, it is what it is, people. Each to their own. The member stream didn't show up. Always on the community page, 15 minutes before we get underway. Latte missed his first ever. And Jermaine said, I'm a married man. Solo holidays are over. No more Iron Appers. No more Ibifas. No more Marbellas, my friend. Those days possibly behind you. LSU, sorry I'm late. Nice hat. There you go. I thought you'd be happy today. And big up everyone locked in. And make sure you like the video and subscribe. James Bond said the Chelsea killer is on the screen regarding Gabriel Martinelli. What a player. What a potential superstar this guy is. And Ricky said, I didn't get a notification for the member stream. Apologies for that, my bro. I did definitely put it on the community page. We will do another one in the next few weeks, that is for sure. Anyway, let's get into it. It's Chelsea against Arsenal tomorrow. And before we've got a lot to talk about. We got press conference reaction, Mikel Arteta. We're going to look back at the previous run that we've got against Chelsea and things like that. But I just want to have a quick, brief discussion about the game. Now, I'm going to have to actually zoom out. That's how far down the table Chelsea are. Let's get on page 2. Let's accept the cookies. There they are. But as much as... Listen, I think Arsenal are favourites for this game tomorrow, right? I do. I think we're better than Chelsea. I do think they have a lot of good individual players. I think collectively they're not quite there yet. However, as much as I'm, bantering and page 2, accept the cookies, scroll down, all of that, there does have to be an element of caution. Because I don't think this is an easy game. Sometimes I think when the expectation is on you to win, it's almost more difficult than when... So what I mean by that, against Manchester City, we all hoped we'd win, but I think most of us thought we'd lose. If we're being totally honest. People criticised me. I went on DR and said we'd lose 2-1 to Manchester City. We beat them 1-0. People go, oh, you're a flip-flop. No, I'm honest. I don't think Arsenal will win every game of football that they play. I'm not going to give you my opinion based off what I want in my heart to happen. Otherwise I'd say we're going to win the Champions League, we're going to win the Prem. No, I try and be real with it. We beat Manchester City against the odds. It was a fantastic defensive performance. Now people expect us to go to Stamford Bridge and beat them. It's like a wounded animal. Sometimes a wounded animal rolls over and just accepts its defeat. It's done. Sometimes it bites back when it's at its weakest point, and we've just got to be careful of this. Something that's very different for Arsenal this season from last season. Last season we was riding high, but I think teams still felt like we weren't as good as our league position. So they would still have a go at us a little bit. And I think that's why we were so good attacking last season. I think now teams genuinely fear Arsenal, which means they put a lot more players behind the ball, which means we're not as free-flowing. We're not quite scoring as many goals as we were scoring last season. So I think teams are making it more difficult for us. Now, there are a lot of subplots around this game tomorrow against Chelsea. We've got Kai Havertz and Jorginho, former Chelsea players. They've got Caicedo and Mudryk, 2 players that very much were close to joining Arsenal. I think Mudryk definitely really wanted the Arsenal move. And look at the way Caicedo acted when we made an offer. It was, my 10 brothers, I need the money, and this, that, the other. Poch obviously is a former Tottenham manager, so there's his motivation straight away. Now, Chelsea have won their last 3 games, 2 in the league, 1 in the Carabao Cup. They were against, lowly opposition, games they would have been expected to win, but they've gathered a little bit of confidence from it. For me, my biggest concern about tomorrow's game, and I don't want to come across in any way here as I'm being, pessimistic. I am optimistic. I do think we can win tomorrow, and hopefully we will, is the team selection. That's my biggest concern about tomorrow's game, is the team that Mikel Arteta puts on the pitch. Now, a couple of those selections will be out of his hands because it's whether those guys are fit and available or not. But if I see Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard as a midfield 3, I think we win the midfield battle. Because Chelsea have a decent midfield, make no mistake about it. I don't particularly rate Conor Gallagher, but he's energetic, he never stops. And Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez are very good players. There's just no doubt about it. I would have taken both of them. And then the front 3. Like I said earlier in the week, Arsenal have not had a starting front 3 all season of Saka, Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus. And that is our best front 3 in my opinion. I love Trossard. I think he's a brilliant player. But I think that is our best front 3. Martinelli, Saka and Jesus. And we have not started one game this season in the Premier League with those 3 up front. If I see Jorginho, if I see Havertz, if I see Jesus on the right, if I see Eddie Nketiah, if I see Thomas Partey at right back, then that's where I have concerns, because I think you're giving Chelsea a way of trying to expose us. Now, some people will say, yeah, but we beat Manchester City with Eddie up front and Jesus on the right. And it worked, and it did. It did. But let's face it, we defended well and we rode our luck. It was a long-range shot, got deflected, went in. We struggled to break them down and create clear-cut chances. Going away to the Bridge will be a different atmosphere, a different expectation. Play that midfield. Rice, Partey, Odegaard. I think we win the midfield battle. That is one of the best midfields in the Premier League, along with the Manchester City, Rodri, Bernardo and Kevin De Bruyne. We need to see that on the pitch. Thomas Partey's just played 2 games for Ghana. He's fit. There's no injury concern. Declan Rice was brilliant against Italy. One of the best players on the pitch. And Odegaard is fine. He's come back. There's no excuse for that midfield not to be on the pitch. The problem you've got, Mikel Arteta is very loyal. We've just won the game against Manchester City. One of his biggest victories as manager. We've just won with Jorginho, Declan Rice and Odegaard as the midfield 3. So he may think if it ain't broke, don't fix it and go with the same thing. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it. The Arsenal team picks itself if everyone's available. You're spot on here, Anthony. It's Raya, Ramsdale, whatever your preference. I rate them both. He would probably pick Raya. The back 4 is White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinni. The midfield is Partey, Rice, Odegaard. The front 3 is Saka, Martinelli, Jesus. Do you know how many times we've done a watch-along and I've typed that as the team and then an hour before kickoff I'm like, oh no, Havertz is attacking midfield. Rice is playing as a lone 6 and Ketty's up front. And we never see our best team on the pitch. If that team's on the pitch tomorrow, I think we beat Chelsea. But what I am saying is be mindful. They do have some good players. Raheem Sterling's been left out of the England squad. I don't know how. He started the season very good. He will be dangerous. He'll be hungry. He will have a go at Zinchenko, especially if he plays on the right. Mudryk, if he starts, he knows social media. We know he wanted the Arsenal move. He's just been on international duty with Zinchenko. Scored for them. So, I think we're better than them. I think if we control the ball and control the game, we will beat them. Chelsea have scored 11 goals in 8 games. They're goal shy at the moment. I don't want to say too much about Nicholas Jackson because I don't want it to come back and haunt me. I don't particularly rate the brother. I'm going to keep it 100. I called him Michael Jackson in an earlier stream. Shout out to MJ, one of the GOATs, rest in peace. What I will say about Nicholas Jackson, he's a live wire. He's a definite live wire, but he's not a prolific goal scorer. But as I said, we're playing them tomorrow, so let me not say too much. I don't want to get myself in trouble. Interesting game. Tottenham play against Fulham at the weekend. I think on Monday, sorry. I'd expect them to beat them. Manchester City play Brighton. That will be an interesting game. Rodri is back for City. Brighton have been a bit up and down. They're the top goal scorers in the Premier League at the moment. 21 goals scored. But they've conceded 16, which is the highest of any team in the top half of the league. So they're leaking goals for fun. But they're the best team in the Prem at the moment in terms of scoring. They've scored 5 goals more than Arsenal in 8 games. So it shows you how good Brighton are. I'm hoping that they can take something off Man City tomorrow, though I did predict a Man City win on the DR preview. Listen, I think if we pick the right team, we approach the game in the right way, we will beat them. If we don't, then we open the door for something to happen. Samuel said, talk to us about the Robin Van Persie hat-trick at the Bridge. What a player, by the way. I've always... It's difficult. When big players leave Arsenal and go to rivals, the feeling of the fan base is to diss the player. And I understand it, of course. I mean, I was devastated when Van Persie went to Man United. I'm always very much a believer in look what you could have done better before you start blaming other people. I think Arsenal gave Robin Van Persie the reason to leave the football club. By not being ambitious enough, but it was devastating when he went there. But that hat-trick, I mean, I think Andre Santos scored in that game and he was horrendous, so that shows how good a day that was. But Van Persie was special. The thing what hurt me so much about Robin Van Persie at Arsenal was he was kind of in the background for a number of years. Some people forget Van Persie was at Arsenal with Thierry Henry. And he was in the background. He was a left winger when we signed him. And we waited. He was a bit injury prone as well. And then Henry left. And Van Persie just became this monster of a striker. And I was like, oh my God, we've waited all this time for this guy. And look how good he is. Once we got him at his best, it was like going to Man United. Next minute, top goal scorer, Premier League winner, walking out on the Emirates pitch. You know, it just went downhill real fast. They were dark years. As I said, I'm glad I didn't have a YouTube channel those times because I'm glad I never was publicly disrespecting Arsene Wenger. But if I was on YouTube and Van Persie's going Man United, can you imagine what I would have been saying? So I'm glad that the YouTube channel started further down the line. They were dark times as an Arsenal fan, let's be real. You know, Van Persie and Ashley Cole and Sanchez and Fabregas, all these monsters leaving the club. But like anything, I always say to people, these guys are not Arsenal fans. We're Arsenal fans. So when these guys walk out the football club and go to a rival, we can't understand that because we love Arsenal. So we're like, how the hell can he go Man United? But he doesn't love Arsenal. He loves playing for Arsenal. He loves picking up his money, but he wants to win trophies. He went to United and won the title the year after. It hurt. It really did. But listen, we're a long way down the line from that. And, I mean, LSU said my younger son cried when Van Persie left. I told you, them days there, that's when I stopped putting names on the back of shirts because I started seeing our best players playing for our rivals. So it was all mad. But anyway, I don't want to take you back to those dark times and them dark days of Van Persie leaving the football club and all that. Let's concentrate on the here and now. And I want to talk briefly about the goalkeeper. And that's Aaron Ramsdale, who's done an interview on international duty with England with Sky Sports. I'm only going to bring up one of his quotes, and then I want to bring up a little comparison, want to have a little discussion with the community about Aaron Ramsdale. I hear a lot of people saying, I feel sorry for Ramsdale. I hear a lot of people saying that. And I get it from a purely human point of view. I get it. I do a little bit as well. But I think people have to understand, and I say this all the time, and I hope it doesn't come across patronising in any way. Having seen football clubs from being inside as a player, even at the levels I played, football is the most brutal sport in the world. Football is the most brutal sport in the world. And sometimes a player's use is to get a club to a certain level, and then that's it. We're going to drop you off now. Yeah, we've reached that level. Do you know what I mean? Now we're moving on. It's very harsh. I like Ramsdale. We have to always respect the fact that he helped us get back in the Champions League. But the club is bigger than any individual player. And the club is bigger than any manager. Which is why I don't particularly fanboy players too much anymore. Do you know what I mean? When I was younger, oh my God, you speak to me about Alexis Sanchez 5 years ago, 7 years ago. That was like, yo, Alexis, that was my boy, Thierry, Bergkamp, even Aubameyang a little bit. But nowadays, you know what? Fall back. As long as the club's moving in the right direction, if a player has to come off, then he has to come off. And that's how it is. So Ramsdale, from a human point of view, I feel for you, bro. I do feel for you. You got us in the Champions League. Now you've been put to the side. But this is football, bro. There's no sentiment in football. His job, he came in and his job was to get us back in Europe, to get us back in the Champions League. Now we're back in the Champions League. For whatever reason, some of you may see it, some of you may not. The manager doesn't think he is the goalkeeper to take us to the next level. The narrative has changed. We're not trying to get fourth. If we finish fourth this season, we'd probably be disappointed. And that's a good thing. That's a very good thing for the football club. Now, Aaron Ramsdale's done an interview. There was way more detail to the interview than this, of course. He said, I need to get back into my club team to get picked for England and keep giving the manager a headache. If I'm not, then it's an easier decision. He admits he fears his England future if he does not win the battle for Arsenal's #1 shirt. And of course he does. Southgate will be telling him. We know Southgate loves Pickford. The only way Ramsdale's going to put pressure on Pickford is by playing for Arsenal. If he's on the bench, he's got no chance. It's not happening. You're going to Germany to sit down on the bench for 4 weeks during the Euros. Now, the interesting thing about Rowe, I mean, looking at a few stats here, because there is a debate. Some people are saying, look, is Rowe even better than Ramsdale? I think they're a very similar level. I do. What I do think with David Raya is it's the distribution, it's the calmness on the ball, although it nearly cost us. You've got to look at it like this. What Ramsdale is complaining about right now, he was the David Raya in this situation 2 years ago to Bernd Leno. Bernd Leno had been at Arsenal during a time when we won the FA Cup and the Community Shield. He'd been loyal. He was a good player. Ramsdale turned up. We knew it was a matter of time before Leno got dropped and Ramsdale took his. So there's a food chain. You were the hunter, now you're being hunted. And that's football. That's football. Now, just looking at a few of these stats, I think Raya will play against Chelsea tomorrow. They've both played 6 matches this season. As you can see, Raya's played 241 passes to Ramsdale's 167. So he's on the ball more. He's played 192 successful passes to Ramsdale's 111, 79.7% pass accuracy. Ramsdale's passing is down at 66.5%. I'm not going to bore you with all the stats. He's had 305 touches compared to Ramsdale. We can see he ticks more of the boxes that Arteta wants. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Aaron Ramsdale leaves Arsenal in the summer. I'm going to be totally honest. If David Raya doesn't get injured and we complete that option to buy on the loan from Brentford, I think Aaron Ramsdale will put a transfer request in the summer. And I think there's big clubs that will take him. He's been linked with Chelsea. He's been linked with Bayern Munich. He's been linked with Newcastle. I think he will get a good move somewhere else. And he will probably have to, because at this moment, I don't think he gets back in the team. I mean, listen, David Raya, people saying I don't want to see the nonsense that he did against City. I agree with you, John. He was being asked to do it. As crazy as it is, it nearly cost us a goal. He needs to do it a little bit quicker, but I understand it. I've always said you cannot keep 2 top goalkeepers at a football club. They just won't do it. We've seen, I know I always talk about Manchester City, and you might think, why is he always talking about City? But City are the pinnacle. They've won the treble. They're one of the best teams we've ever seen. We've seen Pep say to Raheem Sterling, thank you very much. Thanks for your service. Do one. Jack Grealish is coming. We've seen Sergio Aguero. We've seen him. He's crying. We cannot replace him. We cannot. Well, you can actually, mate. You've just signed Haaland, the goal-scoring machine. You know what I mean? So you can replace him. So, listen, it is what it is. Who is the better shot stopper is the good question there by Daniel. Now, that's the question I'm still not convinced on. Out of the whole goalkeeping thing, that's the one argument I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I mean, the games where Ray has been tested a little bit more, he hasn't looked as good. But these stats on the screen are the reason. He's going... What he is, he gives Arsenal the ability... Because nowadays, a goalkeeper is almost like an outfield player. When a defender's under pressure, give it to your keeper. Now, your keeper's the last line of defence. So he feels Raya is better on the ball than Ramsdale, and these stats back that up. So I think they're similar, but I think it's a ticking time bomb for Ramsdale. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the summer. But long way to go. Anything can happen. Only takes an injury, only takes a sending off, and you're back and you've got a chance to prove yourself. So, you know, competition is needed at top-level clubs. Lawrence said, surely given your age, Van Persie was one of your idols. Do you know what? I never idolised him. I know you've gone back a bit there to the previous point, but I never idolised Van Persie. He was a good player, very good player, but he wasn't at the top of his game long enough for Arsenal. Unfortunately, he left. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on from the Ramsdale and David Raya discussion. It is an interesting talking point, of course, to another potential transfer, hopefully on the way in. Now, Sammy Mockbell running with a big story today, again, regarding Ivan Toney to Arsenal. Sorry for the Photoshop picture, but I just thought, I'm ready to see that celebration at the Emirates in January, people. You know what I mean? I'm telling you now. Now, Sammy Mockbell has said quite a few things today regarding this story of Ivan Toney to Arsenal. Did I say Arsenal talking to Arsenal? Toney talking to Arsenal. There you go. Curtis idolises El Neni. Jeez, I don't know about that one, Monty. I'm telling you. I'd rather Max Brannan, who you've got in the picture there, probably play centre mid than El Neni. But yeah, he's wrote. I've wrote some of the notes down anyway. According to reports, Sammy Mokbel claims Arsenal have now contacted representatives of Ivan Toney to discuss the potential of a move in January, potential wages, things like that. They're even saying that Ivan Toney has made Arsenal his #1 priority club in January. When you look at it, the 3 clubs that would probably go for him are probably Arsenal, Tottenham and Chelsea. Tottenham have got that 100 million from Harry Kane, although they did buy Brennan Johnson for 40 million. There is money there. Chelsea, of course, Nicholas Jackson is not the answer. And I think it's clear that we need a striker. Gabriel Jesus, a fantastic football player, but not a prolific goal scorer. And Eddie Nketiah, for me, is just not the one. How is this situation going to occur? I mean, it all sounds positive. Arsenal are talking to his representatives. The player wants the move, according to reports. We're the top priority club for him. It means he stays in London. He can play in the Champions League. We play brilliant football. He's openly said he loves the way we play football. This is the one, but I heard Mudryk say that. And as we said before, Dizzy Rascal people, money talks. Dirty cash. Do you know what I mean? If they offer double the wage, will he still want Arsenal? So Brentford will want this to turn into an auction. And they'll want 2 or 3 clubs bidding for him and drive the price up for him. Thomas Franks described Ivan Toney as a world-class striker. Now, I love Ivan Toney. I want him at Arsenal. I don't think he's a world-class striker, but he's going to use the current market as a way for them to get as much money as they possibly can. So it's a difficult deal. People have said before, could you give them an Eddie Nketiah? Could you give them another player to potentially get this deal over the line? I don't know, but I think Arsenal, I hope that we are getting this deal done. I mean, if you haven't seen the report, go and have a look. Sammy Mokbel saying that Mikel Arteta loves his character and personality, which is interesting. You know, as I said before, he's a leader. He is their captain. Apparently, he trains very, very well. He scored yesterday in a friendly on the training ground. I don't know if anybody saw the goal that he scored. He chipped the goalkeeper from the edge of the box with his left foot. They're now playing behind closed doors friendlies to obviously get him ready for January when he comes back. Listen, I'm not going to go on about it too long. I'll get into some of your comments. GBU, Toney needs to come over. I just think Ivan Toney has that personality. You look at some of the best strikers that have played for Arsenal over the years. They all had that slight edge to them. They're not good. They're not good boys. They're edgy. You know what I mean? Ian Wright, Thierry Henry, Nicolas Anelka, Aubameyang, Van Persie, Bergkamp. They all had that little nasty streak to them a little bit where, you know, they would celebrate in front of the away fans and they had that, you know, that ruthless nature about them. And I think you need that to be a top player. And I just think he's got that. I'm not saying he's on those levels. I've said this many times. I don't think Ivan Toney is world class. I don't think he comes to Arsenal and scores 35 goals. But I just think he's nasty. Look at the way he gave Saliba a hard time. It was that big man strength, you know what I mean? It was like, yo, bro, you're a top player, but relax. You know, I've got that pit bull in me, man. So listen, this is the one for me. I will be very disappointed if we don't get this guy in January. Fianzo said, Big C, do you notice the difference in the treatment between Toney and Tonali? 100%. I said it yesterday on DR, and I don't like to talk about things like this sometimes, but I think sometimes you have to. Ivan Toney gets done for betting on his club. I'm hearing words like cheat and match fixing. That's the kind of language that I'm hearing in the press. He cheated. He betted on his own club. Ban him. He needs to be banned. Yeah. Tonali gets done for betting. I'm hearing mental health issues. I'm hearing he needs help. He needs counselling. He's an addict. Which is fine, you know, and I have no problem with that because gambling it can be an addiction, of course, like anything else, like drink, like anything. People lose cars, houses, everything, gambling. And I can tell you something, gambling in football is huge. It's absolutely massive. But the narrative is a lot different. And I think we all know why. And, you know, I don't need to say too much. It is what it is. But anyway, Ivan Toney, I think he'll go somewhere in January. Let's hope he's in an Arsenal shirt doing this celebration at the Emirates, man. Let's hope so. Milan knew what was happening and sold them Toney and got a big fee. Listen, AC Milan, the game is the game. They said they sold a dodgy car, man. Said, yo, sold as seen. It broke down halfway down the road. You can't tell me AC Milan didn't know in what July when they sold him that there was gambling things going on in the background. You can't knock the hustle, people. You can't knock the hustle. Them man got 70 million for a player that they knew was getting banned in the next few months, man. It is what it is. These man don't mess about. You know how it goes, man. Stackademic said it's a hard. Hey, listen, man. Jay-Z said it's a hard night life for us. It's a hard night life for us. Said it's sweet. I'll leave the rest. Big tune. You know what I'm talking about anyway, people. David Raya, Ivan Toney connection. I'm ready for it, man. I'm ready. I seen David Raya with them long passes up to Toney. You know what I mean? Bring it to Arsenal, man. I'm ready for it. Highly Wanted Criminal said it's an auction. Big C, highest bidder takes him home. Yeah, and that's what we don't want. We don't want an auction. We need him to just say, listen, Chelsea, relax. I don't want to go there. DS Electronics, my addiction is to watch Curtis Shaw TV. Listen, we ain't going to take no money out of your pocket. This ain't Sky Bet. You just tune in, you watch, you press the like button, and you keep it moving. No problem. We'll have a sing-along every now and then. Some information and entertainment, and we keep it moving, people. You know what I'm saying? Wasim said I gamble on Big C turning up on time. I'm at a big time loss. 2 or 3 minutes. I'm within that region. We're getting there, though, people. Reminds me of a scene in Snatch when they bought the caravan that was mash up. Sold as seen, my friend. Sold as seen. No refunds. Highly Wanted Criminal said he's darker than his coffee. Well, there you go. I'll say no more. Big up for the super chat. Anyway, let's move on. It's that time, people. Well, it's a bit after lunchtime, but if you're peckish, get ready. Waffle settings. The boss himself, Mickey Roast, the boss, the cone man himself. People said he gave the cones back to Pep Guardiola, but I still run with it. We're still calling him the cone man until he wins the title. It's just a name. It's not disrespect anymore. It's just a nickname. He's the cone man. He started off as the cone man. Hopefully he ends up as the champion. And then, you know, if we win the league from cone man to champion, it's a great story, innit? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, press conference settings. He did it at 9 o'clock this morning. I haven't watched any of it. I've read a little bit of it. Anybody who's hoping for any headline here regarding team news, there isn't none of it. Let me tell you that. The answer he gives every single week is we are going to train later on today. We have to see how everybody is. That's all you're going to get regarding Saka, Saliba and Trossard. We have 3 potential injuries. Saliba with a toe injury, Saka with this hamstring injury and Trossard with the hamstring. Was Saka a hamstring? Yeah, it was. But yeah, Elliot's thing of it, nyamming waffles, sipping syrup, it's on the way. Saka didn't go on international duty with England. I feel that he will be available, would be my guess, because England brought him in on the Monday to see if he was fit enough to play any of the 2 games. It was decided he wasn't. But we've had now 2 more weeks. I would be very, very surprised if Saka wasn't available. I really would. But you never know. It's a hamstring injury. I'm not sure. Trossard, we haven't heard a lot about. Saliba, it was a toe injury that apparently he's been playing on for the last few weeks. They pulled him out of the French squad to allow him some time to rest it. I would be surprised if the toe injury kept Saliba out. When you look at the way he played against Manchester City with a toe injury, I mean, Jesus. If he plays like that all season, by all means, continue. I would expect Saliba to play. I'm hoping Saka can play. Haven't heard much about Trossard. I don't think Trossard would start the game if he was fit anyway. Arteta loves the mind games. He does. Are you fit, bruv? Oh, we're going to talk about Smith Rowe after this waffle settings as well. All our squad might as well be playing with an injury. Seems like they all do. I can tell you, though, now, as a, most players are not 100% most of the time. Even if I think if it's a muscular injury or fatigue or something like that, that's different. Players have to be, taken out. But you consistently play with a knock. You get a kick. And you consistently maybe 90%, 95%. I think at any level you play, I'm sure loads of you in the comments have played football at whatever level. You finish that game, you feel all right, and then within a few hours, maybe the next morning, you wake up, you go, boy, man, geez, I got a bad kick on the side of my ankle there, and I got a game on Tuesday, and you're at 90%, but you get a bit of ice on it, and you just keep it moving. You strap it up and you play through it, But at Arsenal, we seem to... I think the worrying thing, we're getting a lot of muscular injuries. That's where it concerns me, because that's fatigue or overplaying, and those injuries can get a lot worse. Is it because of the World Cup last year? Are players playing too much football? I don't know. We can't afford any more injuries, that's for sure. Anyway, let's get into the press conference reaction. I'm pretty sure Arsenal will put out a training video sometime today, and because obviously the boys trained today. So we should get a clearer indication of who featured in training. I know there's a video. I'm just looking now. There is a video of Ben White in training with some bleached blonde hair. Oh, no, they've already got a video out, actually. They've put one out 30 minutes ago, London Derby preparation. I'm just looking at it now. Is Saka in? Do you know what? There's a video out now. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. It came out half an hour ago. So while we've been on stream. Unfortunately, look, I ain't got time to watch it now. If anybody's got a chance or you're listening in while you're watching it, are Saka and Saliba and Trossard in the video? Let us know. Joey Essex, full effect, man. Yeah, he's dyed his hair even blonder, Ben White. Benny Blonde, as Nimbo calls him. But yeah, there's a training video. Hopefully those guys are in there. Let me know in the comments if you've watched any clips of it and you can see if those guys are there. On the latest team news, Don said they're in it. All three of them, yeah? No, but some people are saying, nah, they purposely left them out. Arsenal Adventure said Saka and Saliba were not there. Trossard was. Okay. Oh, well, listen, I would expect mind games from him anyway. On the latest team news, he said not a lot. We obviously haven't had a lot of players. It's the first training session we're going in to do today. We will know more after the session. Didn't expect him to give anything away, really, to be honest. So no surprise with that. On whether the international break came at a good time, he said, during a good run, you want to continue, but it is what it is. We had to use it in the right way. Obviously, we had a lot of players on duty. Now we connect everybody with the same mindset. We got a difficult game against Chelsea. On what Pep said to him after City, he said, nothing as usual. We have lost quite a lot against them. When you win, obviously, you get congratulated. It was an important game, a beautiful day, and we move. It seems like ages ago. My favourite Kai is in there, Kai Havertz. Yeah, right. Surely something's going to happen for him at some stage. Win the Dog was in there. Naveen said not seeing Saka or Saliba in the video. Cedric is in it. Yeah, that's all we need. On whether it will be a two-horse race at the top, he said, I don't have a clue who's going to be involved. We want to be there. That's the only thing that I know. And in order to do that, we have to be perfect. The league is so demanding. Did not see Saka in the video, apparently. Oh, maybe he's keeping that ace up his sleeve. He doesn't want them to know. On how he's looking forward to Saturday's game, he said it's a big game. We have a big history. This season he's been impressed with Chelsea. They deserve much more than what they've got. I think Maurizio has done in such a short time is phenomenal. I wouldn't go that far. They're 11th. We're going to have to be at our best tomorrow. Obviously, him and Poch, this story came out that those two, they were good friends when they played together at PSG. And they lived together for a few months, I believe, when they first moved there. So they're good friends. So he's bigging him up. On whether Kai Havertz is excited to be back against his former club. He says Jorginho as well. I'm sure they will be. They were there. They speak really highly about the club and everybody there. It will be a special day for them. I hope both of them enjoy it from the bench. I know, calm down, but you've got an agenda. Give him time to settle. Well, we're waiting for something. I hope he does enjoy the game while he's watching it. From a nice cosy bench at Stamford Bridge. But hey, here's what it is. He'll probably end up starting. I know Ramsdale fearing for his England future. He said it's not easy for any player when he's not playing as much as he would like. The only way is to work harder, show the passion. When you get the opportunity, do your best. Try and win the game. On his old team, Rangers appointing a new manager. Let's skip that. I ain't interested. No disrespect to Rangers fans, of course. On the Man City result, it's the last experience and the feeling that we had between us. It was a beautiful one. You could see in the atmosphere the importance, the way we won, how we controlled it. Now it's about having consistency, keeping the standards high for the next game against Chelsea. Chelsea. No, we need to roll Chelsea. 3 consecutive wins in a row against Chelsea, people. Have you seen the comments of that DR show? Listen, you're a flip-flop. You wanted Arteta out. You wanted Jose Mourinho. Listen, you know me, people. I'm calm with it. I'm calm. To me, if something is not factual in football, then it's up for discussion. It's up for discussion. And that's the reality of football. Unless you are presenting me with a fact that stands by itself, anything else is just an opinion. My opinion, your opinion, whoever's opinion. And that's the way it is, people. I don't hide from it. My opinion on Arteta, to some people, is controversial. I think there's at least, and I still stand by it to this day, there's at least 3-4 times that I believe the manager could have gone and probably should have gone, in my opinion. And I don't hide from that. Now, some people will go, yeah, but you wanted him sacked then. So, now you're saying now you don't deserve his success. That's how it's labelled at me. You wanted him out, so now we're doing well. You're a flip-flop. Oh, you're a flip-flop. Listen, football changes. Football changes, people. That's the reality. Does anybody want Kai Havertz at Arsenal right now? Be honest. I can hear you through the comments. Is there anybody that wants Kai Havertz in an Arsenal shirt right now? I doubt there's one of you that really wants him. But guess what? In 6 months, if he's on fire, what we all going to do? I'll have him on the green screen. I'll say I've always rated him. You'll all be in the comments bigging him up, saying what a player. Mikel Arteta's turned his career around. We've got the Leverkusen Havertz. And they'll go, oh, Curtis, you're a flip-flop. You was dissing Kai Havertz. Now you're bigging him up. As fans, usually we're a reflection of what we see. If something ain't working, we're going to say stop it and change it. And let's be honest, to me, finishing 8th is unacceptable at Arsenal Football Club. Twice. 2 8th place finishers and a 5th behind Tottenham. However, they stuck by him. They was patient. They gave him the money. Title race last year, I believe we should have won it. Title race this year, let's see if we win it. That's the reality. I respect people's comments. Listen, it don't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I've been involved in football long enough. Criticism, praise, take it, each of it with a pinch of salt. It's one of them. Keep it moving. Sakin said, let's be brutally honest. Arsenal haven't done anything yet. Without a major title, all this doing well means nothing. At top clubs, you're judged mainly on success, right? Success is trophies. That's the reality of the situation. Arteta has rebuilt us to a point where we're now in a position to go and compete, right? Which is fantastic. And I do praise him for that. The guy got a green screen. I still can't believe it. I was in shock that he was behind me on the screen. Arteta has put us in a position to compete. He deserves credit for that. The board deserve credit for being so patient with him when people like me were saying, get rid of him, right? They stuck by him. But you're now in a position where you've got to go to that next level. You've put us in a position to compete. Now you've got to try and find a way of winning. Otherwise, you're just a manager that was entertaining, that can develop players but can't get you over the finish line. He's now at that point, Arteta, of can you cross that line of you're a good manager, good coach, or you're a great manager, great coach? That's where we're at now. Time will tell. He's been backed. He's had 4 years, had nearly 700 million. I'm expecting to see trophies now. But we'll see. Time will tell. On the Man City result, no, I read that one. It's the last one, a beautiful one. Next game again. Yeah, I read that one already. I have to admit, though, there was a lot of love in the comments on DR as well. There was a lot of love, C Unit and all of that. So big up. But there was a few, this guy, he wanted Arteta. It's just another day on YouTube, innit, people? I'm ready for it. Win something other than the FA Cup or Carabao. Well, that's the big thing. En route said, Curtis, my mate who's a footy agent, said he went with a few Arsenal players pre-season in Malaga. He said levels and Ketia trains that is insane. I think now we know why he gets picked. Training hype, my friend. Training hype. Seen it before. Seen players before who are unbelievable in training, but we need more than that. So we'll see. Right, let me get through this. On Chelsea's form, I think when you look at, first of all, the managing and the coaching staff, the history of the club, the players and the squad, it's going to happen. I think it has happened pretty quickly, not in the last three results. I think they deserve more results and points than what they already have. Well, he's definitely friends with Poch. On whether he knows what team he's going to pick, he said, I do have an idea. I have to see them all together today and how everybody is, because a lot of people have been travelling. They've had a lot of minutes. I want to see how the energy is, the mood, the spirit. In order for that, I'm going to have a better clue after training today. On the benefits of not having an out-and-out striker in the team. Wow, that's a bit of a shot at the two strikers that we do have, really. But Curtis was cooking KG. It was beautiful, says Pierre. Listen, we had to wind him up. You know, he was giving it a lot in New York, thinking that he was getting Sheikh Jassim takeover. It turns out it's Jim and the Glazers, you know. He said, I think having players with different qualities and options is related to the opponent. If you have midfielders as wingers, a 9 that wants to come in field and attacking midfielders, you don't have any threat. We have a 9 that wants to come forward. Attacking midfielders are constantly threatening proper wingers. Then it becomes different. I'm surprised he didn't answer that by saying we do have strikers. I'm not going to read all that. He's really waffling tactically there. On whether the midfielders are important, then the false 9, I think the combination of all those qualities. On whether he would like to see Bukayo left out of the next England squad now they've qualified, he said, I don't know how they're going to approach it. When our players are fit, we are really happy to let them go to the national team. We've always done that. If the player wants to go, it's a great fulfillment and opportunity. I mean, obviously, England have another international break next month with 2 games, and, you know, does he need to play in those 2 games? Now, I get it. He will probably go because they will still want to prepare for the Euros next year, but he doesn't need to be playing a lot of game time. I think they've got 2 away games as well. So you don't want all of that travelling. On avoiding burnout, he said if you ask the players something, they feel better when they are playing every 3 or 4 days. They can get a knock or an injury. It's part of the game. I have to say, I go along with that. I used to hate having to wait 7 days for another game of football. I was happy to play at midweek and then play at the weekend. Big up my brother, Broads in the chat. I went to watch a match at Barnet the other day. There was a mirror of a lad who I remember Curtis schooled one time. Edgar Davids, I think his name was. Hey, listen, Eddie, don't try and meg me, my friend. Got too much energy, you know. That was old Edgar Davids. Big up Broads, man. Hope you're well, bro. Long time. Big up for tuning in. Which question was it? The burnout. On if Bukayo wants to play against Chelsea. He said, I'm sure he wants to play. I don't see any player there that doesn't want to be in the 11. On whether Saliba's injury could be a reoccurring one, he said, hopefully not. He's been carrying it for weeks. We have to use that time to settle. We believe that was best moment to do it. I think he'll be all right. On if Saliba is a doubt, he said, it depends on how he trains today. On us potentially winning 4 times in a row at Stamford Bridge, he said, we just go game by game. Tomorrow they'll have a strong squad who are playing at home, but we have as well. We're in a good moment. We tried to play better than them, beat them, and that's what happened in the past, but it doesn't matter. 3 wins in a row at Stamford Bridge. We've turned it into a little bit of our training ground lately. But it'll be difficult. It'll be different as well. Gunnar Roller said, big CRIP to the 45 King, the legend who produced Hard Knock Live, Jay-Z of Jay-Z. Yeah, big up yourself, bro. Appreciate that, Gunnar Roller. And Alfred said, Alexis in his prime was better than Hazard in his prime. He could play anywhere in the front line, score more, assisted more, defended more. And his country was winning trophies in South America. Alexis Sanchez or Eden Hazard, it's a good debate. I'm biased. I'm going to say Alexis because I look at I think on the eye test, Hazard was, it seemed effortless. I can't lie. He was a special player. But Alexis scored more goals, worked harder. He won the Copa America with Chile as well. I just think he could carry a team on his back more than Hazard. But they're very, very similar level. They were both incredible players. I can't lie. Uncomfortable conversations. Yeah, they were both special. And Alexis did all right at Barcelona, where Hazard completely flopped at Real Madrid, where Alexis was doing bits at Barca as well, and in Italy. It's an interesting one. Elliot's turned up, yamming waffles, sipping syrup. Time to get them blues. Pause with that Coman music. It's mad how this pause thing's come in the game now, hasn't it? You actually have to think about it as well. But big up everyone locked in. Let me get through this. Do I even read this? On his relationship with Poch. My first professional opportunity was in Paris. We arrived at the same time. Skip, and more skip. On whether he's seen him since he's been back in London. Yeah, we've seen him a couple of times. I mean, listen. They come for me sometimes. They say, why did you ask Arteta if we could get Mbappe in a press conference? I know, it caught me off guard. But I'd much rather somebody said, Mikel, do you think we can sign Mbappe? Than go, have you seen Poch since he's been back in London? Yeah, I've seen him a couple times. Who cares? I actually don't even care about that question. What's the point? On whether he's had opportunities to link up with him after his playing career. Probably there were... Who cares? On whether he could turn it around at Chelsea, he said yes. Who cares? On whether there is a set penalty taker. There is one, but when they have surprised me this season, I don't really know who's going to take it. Sometimes when I see them, someone is on the ball, I'm still doubting. They have the freedom to do it. They practice a lot, and they decide on the day is the best thing to do. That's very surprising, actually, because most managers, especially bearing in mind he's managed with Pep, I'm surprised that he allows that to happen. I remember when I think Haaland gave a penalty to Gundogan and he was going crazy. One shot, Curtis. Don't worry, man. I'll be back in that press conference next summer, man. Give me, you know what I mean? That was just a warm-up. Next year, we'll apply the pressure. Sebedy said, I don't think he likes you, Big C. He seemed a bit salty. I reckon he regularly checks into this stream. Burner account settings. As I said, I'm not saying Arteta does, but I spoke to a couple of Arsenal staff over there and they were like, listen, people from Arsenal watch streams. They are watching man's channel because they need to know what the feeling is around signings and things like that. So they're watching. They're watching, man, but not sure they'll always like what's being said on here. But hey, we speak our truth, people. On whether it makes them more unpredictable... let's skip it. On whether it will be beneficial for Bukayo to have a 10-day rest. He said he's been working so hard to be fit for this game. Let's see where he's at today. He's had a couple of days off that he needed, but the rest, unfortunately, has not been rest for him. He needed treatment and training to get ready. I think Saka will play tomorrow. On how he prevents a player burning out, he said it's our responsibility to monitor them. The way we train, you cannot take parts of training out. It's not only about minutes on the field. Sometimes we rest. There is some balance there at the end. When you play at the top level, a player has to be able to play every 3 days and play 65 to 70 games. On whether Saka needs to play every game, he said, I think we have to play him when we see he's in the right condition mentally, physically, and that he's performing. He needs to deserve to play. So far, when he's played the amount of minutes, it's because we believe he was ready to cope. On us being defensively solid, I can't read all that. It's too much. On how excited he is to see Martinelli, Saka and Jesus on the pitch. Obviously, we've had injuries. We've had availability. We've had We missed other players in midfield who are important. I'm sure we'll get them back. On Jack Wilshere's future, I'm really happy for Jack. On whether he could be an Arsenal manager in the future, he said, yeah, but way down the line, you don't know when that is. On Poch's advice to him, don't go into coaching. On how similar they are, he says, no, I think in a lot of senses we are different. On whether Arsenal are more mature now, do you know what? It's a boring one. I can't lie. On how important it is for the players to keep their heads. Yeah, it's important. Is it important for the Arsenal players to keep their heads against Chelsea? Yeah, it's important. Let's end it. Let's just end it. End it, people. There's not much more of that I can read. I got to be honest. It's a snore fest. It's an absolute snore fest. AirPod Albert tuning in. Big up AirPod Albert. Ask him about Mbappe 2024. At least Arteta's not copying Pep. Yeah, he seems a lot more strict. That penalty stuff has to stop. It's becoming a circus. Like, one player picks the ball up and then someone else comes over and they go, shall I take it? Do you want it? You'll see that man doing rock, paper, scissors soon. Anyway, my final story before we round up is regarding Mr. Are You Fit Bruv himself, ESR, Emile Smith-Rowe. I nearly said his name wrong then. We might have to change the song if he ends up getting sold. How bizarre is this story? Do you believe this? As part of Declan Rice going to West Ham, apparently, according to reports, one of the clauses in the deal was that West Ham get first refusal on Emile Smith-Rowe if we allow him to leave. Now, it's interesting, and these things can happen, and you'd be surprised, especially when you really want to sign a player. Now, if that is true, it doesn't look good for ESR, does it? Because you would turn around and say, listen, we're not selling him. You ain't getting no first refusal on him because he's not going anywhere. But if they're thinking, do you know what, potentially he may leave at some stage, then maybe they have given first refusal. Maybe they were at a point where they were like, listen, just get Declan Rice in at all costs. First refusal on ESR, yep, that's you can have it. I think it'd be a good move for him. I think he'd get in their team. I think him and Jared Bowen out wide would be decent. I don't want him to leave. I think Emile Smith-Rowe still has a future at the club. He's been linked now with Newcastle. He's been linked with West Ham. And he's clearly not getting enough game time, which is detrimental to his future. He's probably not going to get in the England squad for the Euros unless he manages to get into the team. Whether this report is true or not, which I'm not sure whether it is, I think we're reaching a point now where he needs to start playing more, or he's another player that could potentially move on. Now, we spoke about it last week. Should we be allowing Smith-Rowe to go if we get a big offer? My thing was no. I think Smith-Rowe in that attacking midfield role offers more than Havertz and offers more than Fabio Vieira. I would sell those players before I sold him. However, the problem is he's now in a situation where he can't get game time at the moment. He doesn't seem to be connecting well with Mikel Arteta. And if clubs are in for him and willing to pay big money for him, we have seen some reports that financial fair play has kicked in a little bit for Arsenal. If we want to sign Neto, if we want to sign Toney, or whoever else, we may have to sell somebody for a substantial amount of money in order to balance the books. So, listen, some people say I'm in my feelings about this one. I look at this guy and I think he's come for our system. I think he's a quality footballer first and foremost. It doesn't matter really if he came through the system. I think he's a quality player. He scored 10 Premier League goals the last time he got regular football. I think he's better than Havertz, better than Fabio Vieira. And this is a guy that really was part of the reason that Mikel Arteta still has a job at this football club. Because when we was 15th and getting beat by Brentford and all these teams, Smith-Rowe's creativity was a big part of the reason he kept his job. Now, however, as I said at the start of the show with Rowe and Ramsdale, loyalty is very small in football. What you did 2 years ago is not really relevant now. And that's how difficult and brutal football can be. there's obviously some sort of issue. And like Leigh's saying, the clause doesn't mean anything. It could just be, listen, if he ever goes, we'll give you a phone call, but we have no real plans on selling him. So it's interesting. I hope he starts to get game time. I thought he did well the other week against Brentford. I think he looked sharp in pre-season. He's one of the midfielders in our team that I think has got goals in him. He can dribble. He can score. Give him a chance, is what I'm saying. Before we give up on him, and if we do, give him a chance, because for me, you're playing players ahead of him that I believe he's better than them. He certainly wouldn't have done any worse than what we've seen of Havertz this season. So let's see. E-Ross said hopefully that goes for Eddie as well. Well, let's see with Eddie. Would he, if we do bring a striker in, will he move him on? Mikel, you think you will have a coffee with Poch after the match? You know what I mean? Groundbreaking questions, Eros, from the journalists. And Simon said they went and signed Kudus after that, so I don't think West Ham will be so keen now. It was interesting that Kudus' agent said that he agreed to join Chelsea, and Chelsea didn't agree the deal with Ajax. They spent so much money on Caicedo, they weren't able to get that deal done as well. So interesting. But listen, people, thank you very much for tuning in. 2,000 of you in the chat. Really appreciate your support as always. And make sure you like the video on your way out. I will be back 4:30 tomorrow for the watch along. Chelsea against Arsenal. Obviously, some of the 3 PMs will still be on at that time as well. So Manchester City against Brighton, we'll see the end of them games. And then Arsenal will be at 5:30. Big game. Let's hope the big boys are fit and available. Arsenal have released a training video, but apparently some of the players are not in that video. So we'll see if he's saving them for tomorrow. Thank you very much for tuning in. Enjoy your Friday. Tune in for the watch along tomorrow. And I'll see you all for the big game, people. Bless.